Hey, good afternoon. I'm finally here. Holy cow. So I lost track of time. I was falling down MS Graph rabbit holes. I got to figure that crap out every time I deal with it. And then my computer was acting up, and I had to reboot and restart the streaming apps a bunch of times, and blah, whatever. Live entertainment, right? So I'm Rob, that developer dad, and it is Tuesday, December 17th. And we are working on a .NET application that is going to automate a lot of the boring business goo that I'm going to have to, that has to be dealt with while I'm running, or once I launch the DM's Familiar as a purchasable product, so that I don't have to manually be living inside Entra and all of these other places, setting up user accounts and managing user accounts and stuff like that. So this morning I I continued working through the manage or perform subscription activity, or manage customer subscription method, I should say. I got a few more things sorted out. We've got the user account resource. It's being converted back to we're converting the modified customer profile into a user account resource, saving that. And now we are to the point in the process where we need to reconcile that the customer is in the correct Microsoft Entra groups to be able to access the features over in the DM's Familiar that they should be able to access. And I said I was going to do that offline, and I started, and I had all kinds of distractions. Some of them hopefully good. But here we are. So I was working through it, and I was like, I can't remember how to do any of this stuff. And apparently pulling a user and their group memberships in the same call is no longer something we can do using the SDK. That's kind of a pain. But I stood up. I wanted to do some exploratory testing to see what I was working with. So I added a real quick Entra access tests class down here in my console app, and I'm working through that. So int breakpoint equals 0. And I'm just going to drop this here so that the debugger can grab onto an executable line of code to stop on, so that I can explore the data that's coming back, because I don't carry this stuff in my head, man. All right, so we're going to get the user, and then we're going to get the groups that they're a member of. So let's run it. Excuse me. And it wants my password because I just rebooted. Here's that. And that's just the password for my local desktop here. So reconciling groups for user, boogity boogity boo. And let's step in. So step over that. Here's our user. We've got all this stuff. What's the additional data? It's just an OData context. That doesn't really do anything for me. More events, blah, blah, blah. Male, member of, was not included in that query. But the user is not null. I should be able to go user.displayName, and that's me. Okay. And I should be able to get a list of groups. Here we go. And I've got user directory object collection response value. I've got 2 of those. They are directory objects as groups. Cool. All right. So we can stop here, and if groups equals null. Nah, I'm going to say groups dot value dot any. And we'll just chuck some coalescing stuff on here. Bool to bool. Do it this way. Okay. And I need an explicit list of groups. And we want graph user app groups equals new. There we go. And fine. I'll go up to the top of the file using Microsoft.graph.models. Just a second. Building his new computer this afternoon and realized that he didn't have an HDMI monitor. So I had to give him a converter that I had kicking around. All right, where were we? We're down here in the models. We're doing this stuff. I don't need term store. Where's term store? Get lost. Goodbye. Save. And we'll run down into here. So if groups.value, as long as we have some groups, user app groups, if for each var group and groups.value. If group is group, this is getting really, really, really ugly. Do that. And also group.name. Display name. We're not going to do the starts with app group prefix. We're going to say Entra groups dot app group prefix. And of course, display name is not on directory object. Var grp equals group is group. If grp is not equal to null, and also drop this down to the next line. I don't know why it's insisting on doing that. There, this is some ugly, ugly code. I don't like it, but what the hell? Let's just step through it. I'm sure this can be refactored to be a lot less stupid. Or at least hidden. All right, let's run. And we're up in here, our user app groups. We've got a new list. And the group is, let's take a look at what properties we've got on this stuff. Display name is that. Okay. Good. ID is some big long GUID, so we definitely don't want that. Or we might want it. We might need it in a minute. Member of. Okay. And blah, blah, blah. All the stuff. Okay. So I now have my user app groups. Good. Now, stop right here. This is going to become a different method. Refactor, extract method, rename. Oh, you bonehead. Stop, Rob. Rename get groups for user var groups. Payload.userID. Now I got to come down and fix up this thing. We're not going to use that. We're just going to go string user ID. There's that. Async task list of group. Return user app groups. There. Great. Now we need to determine which groups need to be added, which groups need to be removed, okay, need to be added, and which groups need to be removed. Groups to add are any that are in the expected list, but not in user groups. Memberships to add. Memberships to remove are any in user groups, but not in the expected list. So string array, user group names equals user groups dot select g dot display name dot to array. Or array.empty of string. All right. Yeah, that's ugly too. What can do? All right. So inside our collection utilities, we're building out filters. I'm going to add a new file. It's going to be a class. And reconciler. And public static void reconcile T, and I'm going to say get missing members. Enumerable of T, target collection, enumerable of T. I need a good name for that. Left, right. And what's this complaining about? Okay. Using collections.generic. Returns. Returns a subset of the left collection is not present in the right collection. T, the type of the members of the collection, a list of values that we want to find. The list that we expect to find. The list of values we are searching within. And list of T, missing members equals new. Missing members equals left dot accept right dot to list, and that's a new link expression. Produces a set difference of two sequences by using the default equality comparator to compare values. Okay, cool. Return missing members. Let's come back to our Entra provider. var groups to add. Expected groups. It's not request, it's payload. And we got to tell this class where to find the reconciler. There it is. Var to remove. We'll get the user group names as they exist today. And there we go. I'm going to push this stuff into a couple of private methods. Private async task, add groups to, or add user to groups. String user ID. We'll fix that up in a minute because I'm sure the syntax is not that. Remove user from groups. Okay. And reference is that. MS Graph Groups. Display name on the group. Members. Dot ref. I don't like how this is going. groups group dot app role assignments, get member objects, members, dot no, Jiminy Christmas. I need the documentation for the MS Graph .NET SDK. Good Lord. All right, let's take a look at what we've got over here. SDK is in GA status. Supported languages, blah, 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 blah. Preview SDKs of generated API client. C#. Holy carp. Okay. Microsoft Graph. We've got the authenticate. UWP, connect. Collections. Groups, get async. Items, item ID, children, get async. Thumbnails. So that's how we do that. Boy. That's ugly. That's really, really, really ugly. All right, let's see what's happening here. MSGraph.group. Contributions, errors, overview, readme. That's the docs. That doesn't help me. Source. Extensions, change notification, change type. Groups, count delta item. Get by IDs, ew. Item. Members. Graph user request builder, blah, 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 blah. Manage the collection of group entities. Sets, blah, blah, blah. Boy, vey. This is horribly designed. Delete async. Adds a member to a security or Microsoft 365 group. Add up to only 20 members. Okay. So I do have to use post async. That's grody. .ref .post async and what is the post async looking for? Get async, delete async, reference create, body, new, reference create. I don't have a lot of confidence that this is the right stuff. Additional data backing store. I just want to add a member to a group. How do I add a user to a group in Entra using Microsoft Graph? This is really, really, really opaque. Yes, yes, yes. I have all that stuff. OData. Is there a way to do this with the C# MS Graph SDK? Excuse me. So blah, 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 blah. Create with tenant, with client secret, boogity, boogity, boo. Do all the things. Directory object with the new user ID. Group ID members. References. And it says this doesn't exist. That's the big problem here. Is all of the documentation and AI stuff is referencing methods or members that don't exist. And that's a bit of a problem. Now, I am doing this in another project. Let's take a look at the code over there. Because I am totally doing this in the main GM tools project. resource access, graph provider, user access graph provider. And let's just take a look at what I'm doing over here. Load user permission groups. We're getting all this stuff. Get async, proxy users, member of. Okay, filtered groups, member group names. We're getting the filtered groups. Get token. Application group prefix, and it doesn't look like I've got any methods in here where I'm adding new members to the group. Yep, I'm just loading. Never mind. So we get to figure it out. Tenant ID, client secret, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So var user object to add equals new directory object. ID equals user ID. This is so hideous. Group ID.members. We've got a members request builder. Ref toString with URL. Dot grab this error message that is thrown at me. Copy. I'm going to tell Copilot, getting this kind of error message. Let's see what Copilot's got to say. Small syntax issue. Yeah, thanks. And let's see if I could just bring in MS Graph auth. Using Microsoft Graph auth, and that's missing. Let's just go ahead and add it. Down here. Add NuGet package. Microsoft Graph auth. Engage. Go find me. Let's try a different package name. Add NuGet package. Microsoft.graph. Core communications, Active Directory, Graph Client. Good Lord. Yeah, graph auth doesn't exist anymore. That's fun. Save. Microsoft really ought to retrain their Copilot model whenever they release a new build of something. Back down here. Members dot. Can we do a request? Ref dot request. Frick's sake. This is so goofy. Request information. Request configuration. Good Lord. Dot request. Now, what does that give me? Var rec info equals. Now what? Body. Okay, so I have to do a body. So reference create. Let's add user object to add. So I need a reference create. RC equals new. Let's do it the old way. RC dot excuse me. Data ID equals what? It's going to be some kind of thing. Hang on a sec. I'll be right back. All right. This is really grody. I hate all of this. This is not a great way of doing things. Reference create RC equals. So let's try that. Now, O data type, O data ID. This is all very, very, very weird and dumb and overly complicated. Yeah, there's that gives me the post request information, right? Yeah, theoretically. Kyoto abstractions, request information equals null. Oh, data ID. I'm not sure that that's what needs to go in there. Additional data. Using a reference create object. What should I populate its properties with? So instead of that, I need the I'm not convinced that's correct. I'm not convinced that's right at all. Recinfo dot oh, holy crap. This is so dumb. This is so intensely, painfully dumb. I gotta Like, it should just be a matter of accessing the group object and calling an add member method on it. And this can't be as complicated and stupid as it's being right now. And whenever I find myself saying stuff like that things are overcomplicated and stupid, it usually means I'm going about something in the absolute wrong way possible. So I need to do some offline research, and I'm going to finish implementing this nonsense offline, and I will report back tomorrow with how I figured out how to do it, or with what I figure out how to do here, because all of this convoluted crap that I'm struggling with ain't the move. This is not the way. I absolutely refuse to believe that Microsoft would release an SDK for one of their own products to their flagship development language that is this difficult to use. This is banana pants. So I'm gonna cut us off for now, and I'm gonna get my nose to the grindstone and do some cursing offline, and get this sorted out. And I will report back to you all tomorrow. The good news is, once I've got this written, it's going to go into a code repository, and when I need to find it in the future, I won't have to go through all of this nonsense. Unless, of course, they change the calling semantics completely between now and then, or now and the next time I have to do this. In which case, I'll get to curse all over again. But that happens. So until tomorrow, take care of yourselves, take care of the people around you, and happy coding. Take care.